Okay. Hi, I'm Michael Wolf. I'm here for Art Zealous. We're here with Ashley Zelinskie. She's going to talk to us about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and explain what they are and how they work. Ashley is a Brooklyn-based conceptual artist working at the intersection of art, technology, and mathematics. She's a RISD graduate. She's a founding member of the Lady Tech Guild and is currently collaborating with NASA. And interestingly enough, she was married in zero gravity. So we'll start there because that sounds like a fun story.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just never wanted to do anything super traditional, of course. So yeah, I was hanging out with some friends at NASA, actually at the OSIRIS-REx launch down at NASA Kennedy. And somebody mentioned to me that you could actually take the zero gravity flight that they use for astronaut training, just like as a normal person. So when my husband proposed, I was like, yeah, we should do something crazy. And weddings in New York cost an arm and a leg. So this actually ended up coming in cheaper than I think
Oh, really?
a wedding in New York. That's just how crazy the wedding industry is though
Okay.
now. But you can go to zero gravity instead. But yeah, it was a really fun experience. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so we're here to talk about NFTs, which grabbed everyone's attention in March when Beeple sold the first 5,000 days at Christie's for $69 million. So what we want to talk about is, and I think before that, most people had never heard of an NFT, never heard of Beeple, and everyone was just shocked and all of a sudden wanted to find out all about it. So in the last month, you really been more information out there about that, but we wanted to come to you and have you explain exactly. Let's start with the term non-fungible token. What does non-fungible even mean?
Yeah, so basically NFTs are just a token that is on the blockchain, and you can link something to it. So you can link like an MP4 or a JPEG or a GIF or like different file types. And it's basically it's a token on the blockchain. And why this is so cool. And also
explain what because we want people to have no background in technology to understand.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
Try to, in a low-tech way, explain what a blockchain is.
Okay, a blockchain is basically a network of computers and people that are able to verify and authenticate something, whatever that may be. So in our case with NFTs, it's verifying that yes, in fact, this token belongs to this person or came from this person or went from this wallet to this wallet. It uses a series of like math problems that the computers have to solve to like mine or mint something. But basically it's like artists don't need to worry about any of that stuff. We can go forever on this.
So it's a way of proving ownership.
It's a way of proving ownership. It's a way of authenticating something.
Okay.
Which is great for the art world because you know, provenance and letters of authenticity and reproduction has been, you know, something throughout art history that has been an issue. You know, you can fake art, you can, you know, counterfeit it. Things can go missing. Things can go from one person to another without being paid for, or yeah. So it's good to have a system of authenticating and verifying that something is what it is.
Okay, and what is it exactly people are buying? Because people's first 5,000 days was it was literally a JPEG, which everyone knows is how what you attach a photograph to an email. I mean, it seems like a very common thing. So like you're not getting a copy of the JPEG, correct? You somehow have ownership of the JPEG.
Yes.
Explain how that works.
Yeah. So I guess the easiest way to think about this is I've been through this before with 3D printing, when 3D printing was really new. People were saying, well, what's keeping you from printing more of your sculptures? How do I know that there's only going to be one? And how I compared 3D printing and how I'm comparing NFTs is we've been through this before with printmaking. We've been through this before with photography.
And even with sculpture, I mean, you can make a
mold of a sculpture and then you can cast. Yeah, you can keep producing stuff. And so it's like, yeah, if you download a photo of an Ansel Adams photograph and you print it out and you frame it and you put it on your wall, it still doesn't make it an Ansel Adams. And that's kind of how NFTs work. It's you own the work of art from the artist. And because that artist, and it's because like lots of the art market hinges on authenticating it, like knowing that it's unique, knowing that it's the piece that it says it is. And it doesn't necessarily fit into like, what is the art if I'm not getting like the physical object, because lots of artworks aren't physical at all. They're just the ideas.
And conceptual art.
Conceptual art, yeah. And that's kind of like what my one-on-one chair piece is, which I don't know if you want me to get into that now, but it's a reproduction of Joseph Kosuth's 1 and 3 chair piece, which was a chair, a picture of a chair, and a definition of a chair. Posed the question of what is the true nature of the object, what is the real chair in the gallery setting. Before that, it was Plato that asked these questions, and so I decided years ago that I was going to create 1-in-1 chair, which is a chair. It's a 3D modeled, 3D printed chair, and it's wrapped in the hexadecimal code for the 3D file of the chair. So it's the code for the chair, the computer code for the digital file, and then the actual chair, and they're one object.
Okay, so as far as that being an NFT, so you have a physical chair, you have a file of the chair.
Yeah.
So when the person is buying the NFT, they're buying what? They're not buying necessarily the chair, the physical object of the chair. They're buying ownership of the file of the chair.
It depends. So every artist does it different. What I'm posing is the best way for selling my work as an NFT is I'm selling them as basically a digital provenance that holds ownership to the code and the file for the chair. And then I also sell the chair. So they all come together as one. That's not necessarily what all artists are doing. And I've been doing this for a very long time, putting my code for the chair and the 3D file in a code escrow, which is what big tech companies do to make sure that their like secret code is safe. And I give all of that to the collector when they purchase it. They get the physical object. They also get like the idea, the code, the file, the print file. They have all of the pieces because I don't think that the artwork can exist without ownership of all of them.
In an NFT, so you're a little bit different because you're selling a physical object, but
Yeah.
say like the Beeple piece was just a JPEG. Could say if you weren't Beeple, if you were someone else, could you say, well, there's going to be a series of 10 NFTs that I'm going to sell. It's all the same piece.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sell 10 as if it was a run of
that's just like a print
photographs
edition.
or so it's not necessarily limited to one.
Yeah, but you know that ahead of time. And that's the difference. It's like photographers, when they do a print run of photographs, they tell you how many they're going to be in the world and price based on that. So you're not going to say like, this is a one of a kind photo, and then later down the road make like 10 more of them.
Right. You
have to decide that up front. And that's also baked into how these platforms work is you can either do an NFT drop where it's like you say, this is one thing, let's all, this is the price of it, or there's an auction for it, or you say you're doing like a run, like an edition of like 10 NFTs, and you can price them a little bit lower.
And who's holding on to the copyright? Does the artist retain the copyright, or
the artwork still belongs to the artist? It's just then they have a little piece of it. They have the ownership of it.
Not to get into the weeds too much, but if they say I bought a Beeple 5,000 days, and I wanted to then reproduce it in a commercial magazine, does that person who owns the NFT have the right to do that, or do they have to get permission from the artist?
I assume they would have to get permission from the artist.
But the artist retains the copyright and decision-making.
Yeah, I mean, like all of that stuff also goes along with, a contract that you would do with a gallery. Like if a gallery sells a piece of artwork or a photograph, can you show it different places? Can you reproduce it? And I think that all goes along with like, this is business as usual in the art world at this point. I don't think
which is different than if you bought a painting at, say, Christie's, Picasso or whoever, and you own the painting, then you would have the copyright for who gets to photograph it, who gets to publish it. So it
Yeah.
does give the artist a little bit more, or have them retain a little bit more of their rights.
Yeah, and I think that's how it works. It might not be for everything. I mean, every platform is different. But yeah, you do have to read the fine print on like your platform and
Yeah.
what you're. But that's with every gallery too. You just have to know what kind of contract you're going into. The
And tell
cool
us
thing,
about, you purchase carbon offsets to offset the environmental impact of the NFT. Explain to us two things, what that means. And secondly, why is it that that cryptocurrency and NFTs use so much electricity? I think I read somewhere that Bitcoin uses enough electricity. I forget what the exact rate, but it's a huge amount. It's like
to
in an
power
hour.
a small European country for a
Yeah,
year.
exactly.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I've read all of that. I fancy myself quite the tree hugger. I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, probably more than half of my life. I don't use single-use plastic. I'm kind of crazy about it. So yeah, I did a lot of research into the impact on the environment before choosing to do anything with crypto. And I think as artists and also as collectors, you really do have the responsibility to do your homework, especially when it comes to this type of thing. The crypto market does burn a ton of electricity. Now, thankfully, Bitcoin is not the coin being used, the crypto being used for NFTs. Ethereum is one of the more environmentally friendly as far as you can get right now. They're switching from proof of work to proof of stake by the end of the year. You don't need to worry about what that means. It just means they use less electricity. But yeah, I think you just have to buy NFTs responsibly, know what the artist is doing.
Well, why is it that they use so much? I mean, you plug in your computer, you don't think of it as using a ton of electricity.
Yeah, but crypto mining takes a lot. These are big servers, cranking through very complicated math problems to mint these tokens.
Offset. Can you share with us images of your first NFT?
Yeah, so let me see if I page share. This is my first. It's not my first NFT. I did an edition release on Rarible, but this is my first NFT that I have minted that is also being paired with a work of art. So this is 1-in-1 chair. So when you purchase this NFT, you're also purchasing the actual physical object. So this chair exists in real life as well as digitally. And you're also buying code and the 3D file for the chair. So all of the pieces knitted together.
And what is this? How is this printed? What is it printed in?
It's 3D printed in nylon. So it's laser sintered nylon. So it is white, so it looks just like the photo. I can actually show you photos of the actual chair. So it doesn't look much different than the 3D model.
Okay.
I guess that's the whole point, is to make it as one-to-one as possible. So yeah, this is the actual 3D printed chair. And so I think I made this chair in 2014. And when NFTs came along, I thought it was a great opportunity to now do like another iteration of 1-in-1 chair and talk more about the true nature of what is the artwork? What are we actually buying? Which is like what everybody with NFTs is asking. What are we buying here? And I'm saying, like, that's up to you. It's like a question that we pose throughout art history forever. Is it the chair? Is it the code? Is it the digital file? Is it the NFT? And I think, yeah, having it be now minted and available as an NFT is just like a great next step to the life of this piece.
And I think that's a good transition for people they're getting a fit for your work, is they're getting a physical object, and what's the more abstract to them would be purchasing the file and the NFT.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're actually getting a physical object, I think, is a good transition for most people's minds to
understand.
Well, that's the thing, is like that I'm paying for something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very new technology, and I went through this when 3D printing was in its infancy. And I think that you just have to, there's a lot of backlash and questions, and people aren't really sure where this technology is going to go, what it's going to mean. And I'm just like, you just have to see it through. You just have to have, follow artists that are making good work and doing it right. And then you get to decide, where this goes and how it exists in the future. And I think that's a big responsibility when you're working with new technologies, but also like a great opportunity.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Ashley. I think you helped everyone understand NFTs a little bit better. It was great speaking with you.
Nice speaking with you too. Bye.